is a interesting session. I sat in a meeting last year at the end of the HTF forum, and I asked, where are the CRM people? Why are we not having CRM sessions? And thank you, Robert. They said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's put one together, and you get to moderate it. So here I am. You guys get stuck with me. So thank you guys for accepting to be in these chairs. I hope that this goes quickly. It's only 35 minutes. So I do want to encourage these to be an interactive session. So if you have questions, raise your hands. I don't know if we'll get to the questions, but hopefully we have enough time. And I want to give you guys obviously enough time to talk about some of the things that we want to show today. So as Chief Data Officer for Margaritaville, one of my priorities is to make sure that we are not only collecting guest data, but actually using it and finding ways in which we can provide that data to our marketing teams, to our strategy team, to our development team, so that they can enhance the value of the enterprise. I think that that's obviously the way, at least in my point of view, the way that data should be used. But there's also another dimension of that, and that is the guest experience itself. So Ed, you and I have been talking a little bit about that. You're doing incredible stuff with Appellation. So if you want to kind of run us through what your role is and how you're using data to improve your customer experience.
Yeah, thanks. So Appellation is a new hotel company and a new hotel brand. So it's really exciting to be able to start with a clean slate and from scratch. Very different experience than I've had over my 35 years in the industry already. We're a new hotel company focused on culinary sense of place, building what we call 4.5-star approachable luxury hotels. Our co-founders are great executives. Chef Charlie Palmer, renowned chef, James Beard, best chef in America. 20 Michelin stars to his name. Will probably go down as the creator of the celebrity chef model in hotels. And then Christopher Hunsberger, the former president of Four Seasons, is our other co-founder. So everything we do is done very well. But having that clean slate, not having to start with legacy systems or change muscle memory has really been a gift. There's also a little bit of pressure not to screw it up. But I think what we've done and is something that's done in an uncommon way, and I think that's why I'm here today.
Thank you. And Jesse, the conversation we had obviously with Frontdesk, that's one of the technology that you're powering is obviously enabling some of that experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Frontdesk is also a new hospitality brand. I was coming to these trade shows about 7-8 years ago and creating the technology systems, a company called Telconet. And what we realized was that there was a big gap in the marketplace for a vacation rental style stay managed by hospitality brand standards. And so we created Frontdesk about 7 years ago, and today we're in over 20 markets. I am the oddball out on this panel where I am the build versus buy side of the equation. So happy to get the shots fired soon enough. But we have leveraged technology to create a great customer experience.
Thank you. And Steve, you and I have worked together for a little bit over 10 years in different capacities. And obviously, as the head consultant for Margaritaville, you help a lot of companies, not just ours, but a lot of companies understand the power of data when it comes to technology and how to connect it. So is there anything that you are doing right now that's innovative besides what we're doing? Don't
I can't
say
tell you.
anything about it.
I won't sell you out. What we look at it is we really look at the guest needs and the building, the developer or the property needs, and come up with a solution. I don't believe there's any one solution that fits everything. So we really kind of focus on delivering, with a data-centric model, how do we deliver that for each property? A full-service hotel with 7 restaurants and lots of activities is much different from a boutique service select with maybe 1 restaurant and no other amenities. So we really work to develop that solution.
Yeah, and thank you for that. So, Ed, I wrote my questions down because I'm not 25 anymore. I forget things. Ed, one of the things we talked about is, do you have a CRM, a CDP in place right now?
We do, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how are you using that technology to power that experience? What are the touch points that you're affecting through the data that you're collecting in those systems?
Yeah, for us, we designed our whole technical ecosystem all at once. And it started off where I was sourcing certain commercial systems that I knew I would need on that side of the business. But there are so many interdependencies between systems, as you all know. And so we decided to just go down this path of designing everything all at once and identifying all of the players and making sure that we know the systems that we have will work together well, and that we could get the data to move from place to place and really make it actionable, which was our primary objective. And we started with what experience we want for our guests and what experience do we want for our employees, and then we built the systems around that. So for us, our CRM really is the hub for all of this information, but where I think we've really been successful at making it actionable is that we were able to get a single customer record throughout the entire guest journey and not have to reconcile different records from different systems. And then we were able to actually accomplish that with fewer systems, about a third the number of systems in a typical luxury hotel. So our research said that there was about 120 different pieces of technology at any given point in use in a luxury hotel, and we're doing it with a third of those number of systems.
Wow. That's what I was going to say. Jesse, I know we talked about Frontdesk and in general just the technologies that are available today to enhance that experience and that guest experience. But the other piece that I think it's important to talk about is how that engagement ultimately improves the value of your data, right? How many of you guys are right now, I guess, using data assets as a value composition or as a value proposition for your company?
There's a few.
4 people. Okay. So that in itself, I think, is a shift in the market, right? We're starting to see more companies that look at customer records or data that you have in your systems as an asset. And so how does your solution help understand the value and the formula and the proposition that comes with having that data available in your systems?
Yeah, so the way we think about data, technology, AI, somebody has to throw out that buzzword here, is that it's enabling our people to do their best work. At the end of the day, this is hospitality. Customers want to interact with people. And to the extent that we can empower our people with the better tools and the better technology and data to form better relationships with customers, be more efficient at their job, and ultimately provide a better service, everybody wins. And so that's how we think about the use of our data is through the efficiency and effectiveness of our people that are using the tool sets.
So in that sense, there's also an opportunity to monetize the data that you have, right? And so when you have the ability to present data points to your service organization, your front desk agents or your restaurant bartenders, and you know that that data is available for them to take the next step, obviously that becomes then a vital part of not only the experience, but the monetization of that data and the ability to go back and look at the guest record and go, oh, these guests will always get an upgrade, or will always pick that higher category, or will always eat at the restaurant and eat the most expensive steak, right? So is that something that, Ed, I know you're kind of working through a lot of that in your organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to have at the enterprise level the ability to share information about our customers with any of our hotels, and then also at the brand level, and really be able to speak to the customers in a one-on-one way. Our strategy, our business strategy is personalization. My commercial strategy is personalization. And so being able to take the information that our customers are giving us, their shopping behavior, even their pre-shopping behavior, maybe they're just learning about us, and we're able to build an anonymous record about their behavior online. And so as they navigate our website, we actually have a new website that we've been developing that will come out in the first quarter of next year. And so just, even if we don't yet have that login, the customer will see different images or different content just based on their navigation of the site. And then that does store into a record that once they do identify themselves to us, we're able to pull all of that forward. So for us, a sommelier in Sun Valley, Idaho at our mountain resort there can book a cabana for somebody for their next stay in California because they have that information, and through the conversation and knowing the guest, we've given our staff the tools to do that. So we really want to make it frictionless for the staff and the guest as well.
So in talking about the two-letter words that are dirty words right now, AI is one of them, right? Well, 2 letters. Artificial intelligence obviously is a component of most newer technologies anyway, right? And the older technologies are trying to quickly catch up to that AI component, trying to adapt it to their solutions, trying to integrate it into their solutions. Some of them very successfully, others we'll see. Where do you see AI kind of being and this question is for all of you, but where do you see AI being an actual agent of change and making things efficient, as opposed to deterring the guest or deterring the guest experience because the AI still needs to be trained? I mean, large language models still are very new, and the training of those models happens almost on the go, right? So how much failure are you guys, I guess, how much failure are you tolerant to take before you launch it as an initiative?
I'll jump into this one. Had a conversation with a few people at dinner last night, and I'll touch on it. AI is still being defined. I think if you ask,
AI is what?
Still being defined. And I'll refer back to what we used to call cloud computing. Was actually, some of us really know that it was just a server in somebody's office or somebody's back office. AI is still being developed. I think it's a marketing piece right now. Some people don't want me to say this, but we still have to get down to the basics of what that data profile is and what we can do with that data profile. And you and I have beat this around the bush for years, is, what is, and we're developing it now, what is the Margaritaville profile? Because there's all of our partners that are sitting out here in the field can give us hundreds of data points. But what if I only care about 40, right? And I don't need all those others. So can AI help us that and trim it down to a unique, as you're saying, personalization of your client? I don't need 400 data points. I need an effective 50. Can AI help us with that? Can then what can we do effectively with, in that space? And I think AI is coming, but it's going to take the human factor to service our guests.
Jesse?
I can provide, let's debate this for a minute. We are using ChatGPT, GPT-4, generative AI tools in our world today. We're in a unique position where we're a young, new brand. We don't have many people telling us we can't do this thing, and the technology is there. It's a function of integrating it. And also, most of our customers prefer to communicate via SMS, text messages, emails. Very few of them, the reason why they book with us is because they want a self-check-in experience and a mobile-first at your fingertips, which makes it a ripe opportunity to use generative AI if it's mostly textual-based conversation. And what we found in early experiments a few months ago with GPT-4 was that we could actually create better responses for the guest in a text message, for example, than our own people could. And so you're starting to see the power to where this technology can not just be faster and cheaper, but also higher quality, if done right. Now, there's still some kinks to work through on the tool set, mostly on the integration layer, not as much on the large language layer. And so what we did at Frontdesk was we actually built the GPT-4 into our tool set so that our customer service team gets a pre-drafted response. So we don't let the AI go wild and respond to guests. We still feel like there has to be a human interaction, but now the human interaction can be send, edit, send, and they're a curator of the experience, not doing the heavy lifting that the AI can do now, and we found that it enables us to respond faster, more on brand, cheaper, and more relevant information to the end customer.
Good example. Ed?
Yeah. So, and I guess I would just kind of compliment what both of you said. But to your last point about the communication, so we've built AI into our CMS. And we have the same CMS for our website as we do our guest applications. So we've got that cohesion there. If somebody were to start making a reservation on the app and then later pick up on the desktop, they don't have to start the process over. But it's been really, really interesting to experiment with AI in the CMS because, we want to automate a lot of those, the press send, so that based on what we know about our customers, that information gets sent to them at the right, the right time, on the right channel, and I would even say the right, time of day. Like if we know that a customer always opens their emails at 6 a.m., that customer is going to receive their emails at 6 a.m. Somebody that opens it at 10 p.m. receives them at 10 p.m. So again, personalization and really trying to use the information that we have about the customers. And then kind of a related topic would be machine learning, because AI is not terribly new. I mean, there's been AI and machine learning. We've been using, that in revenue management for a while, but that's an area that I still think there's probably a lot of opportunity to improve. And I think about the amount of data that we're able to serve out, and this could be a challenge to many of you in the room, or vendor partners, that, we know we've got information about, a customer that, let's just say, has booked, a $200,000 wedding with us. He stays a couple of times a year at a couple of our hotels, dines with us, monthly in one of our restaurants where he lives. And then, but he's still subject to the same stay restrictions, just say, as somebody that just comes with us, stays a holiday weekend, and never comes back. So I think if we could predict the lifetime value, potential lifetime value of a customer, using all the information that we do have about them now, we could really, really push forward in that space and actually accomplish the total revenue management that a lot of our contemporaries have been talking about.
Casinos do a lot of that.
Yes, they do it, but it's still largely manually, which blows me away because there's
Right.
a lot of resources in the casino industry, but it's still very much a manual process.
And that kind of goes back to then the old argument that we always have, which is technology versus experience, right? And when is technology an enhancer of that experience, and when is technology driving the experience? So in many cases, it will come back to what you want your brand to represent, what your product looks like. Are you a hyper luxury brand that is based on high touch, high engagement with the guest, or are you a modern brand that has people just, they don't want any human contact. They want to do everything on their phone, and they don't want to talk to anybody, or they don't need to talk to anyone. And if they do, they're perfectly happy talking to a machine, right? So that division, I think, is not easily conquered, and I don't think it's going to, quite honestly, end anytime soon, because we obviously have different services or different levels of brands and different promises as you go through the marketplace. So obviously I think there's some dichotomies in there as well that we still have to manage through. One of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up today in this panel is the regulations and the way that regulations are changing around data, both the collection, commercialization, and privacy laws that are kind of coming into the marketplace, and how that affects the strategies that you guys are pushing through. Knowing what's been happening in the industry and ransomware and all these issues that have been happening to large enterprises is scary for most of us, but it's also a little bit of a, stop and figure out what you're doing before you actually get to do it. So I'll start with you, Steve, because obviously we had some conversations around that.
So one of the things we do for our partners is we get involved in the vendor selection process. And when we get involved in the vendor selection process, we really back it down to, does it connect? Great. Does it connect? Does it meet what the property is looking to? And then we qualify it through a privacy assessment and security assessment. And this is, and I'll use this word in this group, and it's a little frustrating. There are some really good solutions out there that are on the front end, but they want to go collect every piece of PII that they possibly can and then connect to nothing. So, and I ask the question, why do you need it? A lot of those vendors don't like that answer, and some of the hoteliers that we work with don't understand that. But if I've got a solution, a widget, we'll just call it a widget, and they go, for that guest to use it, we want to know everything about them. I'm like, great, how are we getting that data back? Well, you're not. And our policy is, we'll do industry best effort to protect your data, but we won't be held liable for it. For me, it's a disqualifier. So when we start to look at selections, it's like you have to have a privacy. You have to look at the full solution of that the guest, the partner, the developer, whoever we're servicing at that point. You can't just throw a solution out there and say, well, collect your data. You've got to have a plan for that data. You've got to have a security plan. You've got to have a privacy plan for that data. And I would encourage everybody out there that's on that software development side, you got to start there, or at least have that in your development, or we're doing a disservice to the industry. We're not even getting to the regulations.
Ed, how do you filtered through your solutions on the security side?
Yeah, and I've lived, through, a data breach before in a past life with a major supplier, and it's not fun. And so, I want to avoid that at all costs. I think, the best way with the data privacy is, just to make sure that, the customer is giving you the information voluntarily, and then you're not at risk of, PII that, that they're not okay with you having or using. And that's again consistent with our strategy of personalization. So there's a lot of information that gets volunteered. We do use folio level data for our marketing purposes. So we don't just know that somebody spent $200 on dinner last night. We know what wine they have, and again that influences the types of communications they receive from us. But it really does start, I think, with the customer, and then selecting the right partners to make sure that the data is secure and being used the right way.
Jesse?
I trust my IT and my engineering staff, and when they tell me that we have to not do this, I trust them with that.
Well, and it comes down to that, right? The guest that is providing us with zero-party data or first-party data, and they're telling us everything about who they are and why they're coming and what they're doing while they're in our properties or in our hotels. They're trusting us. They're trusting us with their data. They're trusting us with their credit card. They're trusting us with their name and their email address and their mailing address and the names of their kids. And so it's almost it has to be a commitment, I think, also at the enterprise level, that we are going to be responsible on how we're using that data and how we're proliferating the data throughout the organization too. Not everybody needs to have access to everything, right? If you don't absolutely need a data piece, there's no need for you to have access to that data piece. So I think that establishing those policies at a very high level in understanding how that access needs to be tapered throughout the organization is one of the main and basic steps of data security. In that same vein, though, there are opportunities sometimes that I think we don't always see or haven't seen, and I know that we've done some exercises and some work around that at Margaritaville in understanding where data sometimes is coming into our environment without us even knowing, right? Sometimes we're like, where did this come from? And we realize that someone pushed a button or plugged something in that collected a lot more data than we needed or thought we were going to get. And so I know, Steve, you and I ran a test in a couple of properties around Wi-Fi solutions. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think there's a few of you in the room that I've talked to about this. I worked with a company, and one day we realized that we were taking, I think it was a ridiculous number. It was like 1 million unique logins a day across our Wi-Fi platform, but we weren't collecting any of that data. So one of the things we've been working at Margaritaville and with a couple other clients is we've kind of stepped backwards. Instead of just tying into the PMS and getting a username and a code, we've actually asked people to start putting their email addresses in, because if you stay in a hotel, it's not just the person that we grab on the folio that we get their data, but we want those other people that stay in that room or those guests that come into the lobby. We've got Margaritaville has a property in Tennessee. It's on a little entertainment island, and you don't think about it, but the first time we ran the test, it was middle of COVID, but Tennessee didn't care. And we turned it on, and in about 2 hours, we ended up with 5,000 emails, because everybody that walked through the island logged on, because, we can log on to Margaritaville. Now, granted, we had all the security done. All they could get to was to the internet, and we did all of that. I had to turn the system off, because once I started to collect all this data, I had no place to put it, and we had no place to dump it to. So we started to work on that, and we're going to roll that out probably this next year. But for us, we're now collecting that first person that stays, that second person that stays, the people that come to the hall, come to just have dinner, and we're going to take all of that data. Now we've expanded from 1 person to 4 people for every stay. And it's just it's kind of a hidden space for us to find data and find people that are interested in the Margaritaville.
And I know that your properties are high touch, so do you have policies in place or program in place for your front desk agents, for example, to collect data and have for lack of a better word, a good hygienic method in collecting data and collecting good data, because at the end of the day, trash in, trash out, right? So if all of my emails say no email at noemail.com,
Right.
I can't do anything with that.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to having, single customer record throughout the journey. So we're not trying to reconcile emails. We don't have a separate, booking engine for the spas. We do for the rooms or for the dining. And, catching the email address or some information at for the Wi-Fi login, I think is really important, because some of our best customers, at least with our brand, may never stay overnight in one of our hotels. We don't use the overnight stay as the trigger for the interaction with the guest. We have great restaurants. We've got immersive learning programs, things that we really design for the locals as well, or even people that are visiting other hotels in an area that come and dine with us or participate in a program at one of our hotels. So being able to capture that information for somebody that's not staying overnight is tremendously important to our process.
Yeah, and Jesse, do you have any tips on that side?
We're doing the same tricks everybody else is doing, the captive portals for the emails, captures, trying to get not just the primary guest, but the guests that stay with them in the journey. Some of the things we're trying to work into our system and our workflows is capturing the preferences. So if you have a smart thermostat, what temperature did they have it set at? Could we potentially create a free opportunity to show them that we care about them as a guest, and we remembered that, and we set their thermostat for that at the next stay. There's small things around the edges, but for us, we're a new brand. We're still trying to get our name out there. We care more about getting guests to come stay with us a second time and a third time and a fourth time, more than the upsell opportunities, at least at this point in our life. And so anything that creates that 5-star experience for us is a winner on the customer management side.
All right, so we're about 5 minutes. Are there any questions in the audience? You have a question? Okay, there's a mic coming. Hold on. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Good job, guys. Quick question for you. As it pertains to leveraging data to offer a personalized experience on property, how do you anticipate rolling that out when you have, say, an older demographic that prefers white glove treatment, high-touch service, versus the younger demographic that doesn't let go of their phone and wants to click the margarita button and have it show up, within a few minutes? As you have, different demographics of guests on your property, how do you anticipate rolling that out without causing friction?
I think you picked on Margaritaville, and that is a unique conversation for us when we're working with Claudia's team. Margaritaville goes everywhere from an RV park to a luxury hotel to a cruise line. Those are different demographics, and they all have different needs. Again, I'm going to take it back down to that, those, I'll say 50, just as a number, those unique data points. How do we communicate with that person? And how do we communicate with those people that are focused on that Margaritaville experience? They all have that same desire, or they wouldn't be staying at Margaritaville. But Margaritaville and Claudia, I'm going to steal one of her lines, isn't an emotional brand. So whether they're staying at an RV, the cruise line, or one of the hotels, there's a reason they're there. That's why we're trying to communicate across that emotional experience for them. So in that case, it's a little easier.
Wow, I have trained you well.
Yes.
Yeah, we spend quite a bit of time looking into the ways in which our guests and our different demographics interact with us, right? And you're right, some of our older demographics are less prone to do things digitally. They want to talk to someone. They come and lean at the front desk, and they, check out for 25 minutes because they're telling the front desk agent everything that happened during their stay. And so we empower our guest experience line staff to do that, to spend the necessary time to talk to that guest however they want to be talked about. So there's different touch points, and I think digitally, you can roll things out and you can test things out. Everything can either fail or succeed, depends on who you're presenting it to, and you kind of have to learn to iterate and go, okay, that didn't work over here. How do we move it forward? So it's always an effort. It's an iterative effort. Every day we're trying to do things maybe a little bit different, but at the end of the day, we have to also let the guests choose their experience. And that for us, we're an experiential brand, so And Ed, I'm sure that's for you guys too.
For sure.
I mean, everybody wants to be an experiential brand, right? We want the guests to leave with a memory, not just with the bill. So, any other question? Did that answer your question? Yeah, thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, so we have 2 minutes left. Lightning round. One thing that if you were sitting at this conference and you were, listening to this session, one tip that you would actually write down and go, oh, I can go and do that with my enterprise and my company. So Ed, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the best part for us was beginning not with the technology, not talking about systems or processes or hardware, software. We started with what experience do we want for our guests and what experience do we want for our employees. And then everything we've done goes back to that sense of true north. And I think that's been critically important.
That's pretty good. Thank you. Jesse.
I actually picked up the keeping your vendors accountable and knowing the questions to ask, but I'll leave one of my own, which is empower your people to do their best work. That's what technology is all about.
Steve?
I think it's leveraging technology, but keep the human factor in, right? I think it's simple. We're all trying to become more efficient, but hospitality, and the reason we're in hospitality is that face-to-face human interaction.
Yes, I totally agree with that. So my tip, I guess, would be the same. Is hospitality is a service industry for a reason. We're all here because we love to serve and we love to talk to people and engage and interact. And so let's not let the technology do all of that for us. I know that is difficult, especially in times of high distress in the labor side of things. But I think technology has the ability to empower all of us to do better and spend more time with the experience, less time with the things that, take and consume time. So the more we can use technology to leverage that and kind of give us some time to improve our experience, the better we're using our technology. So thank you, guys. This was great. Thank you to our panelists. I appreciate your time.
Claudia.